Welcome to this very special 50th episode of Massage Myotherapy Connect. I'm Davey, CEO of Massage Myotherapy Australia, and I'm here with Garry Lavis, who is our incoming director and also our recently elected president. Welcome back, Garry.
Thanks, Anne. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time. Yep. You've been president before?
That's right, 8 years ago. So I've had a little bit of a time off, but back for my second go and looking forward to it. So it should be great. Yeah,
it's an exciting time. I think you've chosen the right time. We're going into a new strategic plan, so we've got a busy couple of years, but a busy time in 2022.
Yep, yeah, I'm looking forward to working with a brand new team for me, and looking forward to some of the initiatives that we're going to achieve through our latest strategic plan. So it's going to be all exciting stuff for our association.
Yeah. All right, so stay tuned, because in our very special episode we have an extraordinary guest. Gill Hicks is going to talk to us about her life and how she uses massage on a weekly basis, I think she said. So stay tuned and have a listen for that.
Good. And on a positive note, a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of our members, from our staff, our board and the executive, and we wish you a happy and prosperous New Year. Thank you from MMA.
A huge thank you to Firm.n.Fold, who have sponsored our 50th episode of Connect. Who'd have thought back in 2017, and here we are. So thank you everyone who entered the competition and who are tuning in today. And so let's draw it. And the winner is Elsie Aventi. Congratulations, we'll be in touch. Stay tuned for the episode.
Hi everybody, this is Dave Sheehan from the Connect show. I've got Gill Hicks with me today. Hello, Gill.
Hi, Dave.
Well, we were supposed to have you at our conference, our face-to-face conference 2 years ago now, but something strange happened. I don't know what, but here we are. We're on Connect. We're on our special 50th episode, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, and it's very special to be here on the 50th show. So in a way, I guess it's sort of worked in my favour that I have been able to be there in person, but to have the honour of being the 50th show is pretty amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, some of you would know who you are, and I guess a little bit about what I would consider fairly horrific episode of your life, which has now turned into something that's assisted you, I guess, in changing tact a little bit, and making the most of life, and really, honing your new skills. So did you want to just explain to the folks at home a little bit about the past and bring it up to where you are now?
Sure. So look, I left Australia when I was sort of, a young adult, so 19, and I headed off to London with that whole idea, Dave, of, I just want to take the world on, and I want to see what I'm made of, and I want to do it all. And my original plan, I guess a lot of people would identify with this, was just to be there for 2 years and then come back home. And 26 years later, I ended up coming back to Australia. I fell into some pretty bad habits in London, and I can only say that now that I'm out of it. And that is that I, of my beautiful 20s and 30s evaporated with essentially me being a workaholic. I remember vividly, having those moments of, perhaps I need to go to the gym, or perhaps I should do yoga, or perhaps I should look after my body a bit more, because I'd taken up the terrible, terrible habit of smoking, and then smoking pipe, and then smoking cigars. And so I was trying to balance all of these things by, what could I do for myself that was health focused. And I remember going into and joining a gym in Covent Garden in central London, and I walked in. It was quite a swanky gym. And I said to the receptionist, because you had to have a picture taken and put on an ID card, and I said to the receptionist, this is probably the first and last time you'll ever see me. And she, sort of looked at me, and
this is you signing up for the gym.
This is me signing up for the gym.
Yeah.
I said, all I want is my card from my wallet. I'm really not going to come. And so it was this sort of psychological commitment, I guess. Like, if I have a picture of myself on a gym membership, then I'm really there. And that's the sort of picture. I'm just, I don't want to be sort of too self-deprecating, but that is the picture of who I was, and a chronic workaholic. And it was this one day, Dave, that I was running late for work, and it was July the 7th. It was a Thursday morning in 2005, and unbeknown to me, I was boarding the same train carriage at exactly the same time as a suicide bomber. So it was part of a coordinated attack on the London Underground and transport systems. And there were 4 bombs that went off that morning, killing 52 people and injuring hundreds, including myself. And, it's really a moment for me, whenever I reflect upon it, of that clear demarcation line of, in the moments, in the aftermath following that bomb blast, that all of life as I knew it had gone. And the only way I've ever been able to sort of sit with that idea is to literally say, well, everything before the bomb was my first life, and everything after the bombing is a second chance or a second life. It's extraordinary to recount, because so much of it is unimaginable. Whenever we think of something terrible happening to us, illness or something, there's a prognosis. And we get given a prognosis, and we think, well, okay, if we do the work and we change our diet or take the medication, we will recover and we will get better. And I think the greatest thing I've had to really sit with and mentally adjust to is this very real, idea that I will not recover.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the horror of the bomb blast. So I was standing one person away from the bomber, and the person that stood between us sadly lost his life. But to think that he was my first line of savior, and how I wish I'd said good morning to him, or even looked at him or just said, been able to say something. But effectively, just his very presence shielded my body enough for me to survive. But in surviving, I horrifically lost both of my legs and have several other injuries, including being quite badly burnt, lungs affected, hearing affected, but still managed to sort of pull through to be where I am today, which is I think more than miraculous. It's actually extraordinary, given Dave, when I hear the stories relayed back to me from the rescuers, from the police, from forensics, it is breathtaking of how I've actually been able to survive. One of the sort of harrowing details for me was being told just how long we were in that aftermath before rescue could reach us, and it was just over an hour.
Golly,
we
yes.
could be rescued, and that's a really long time.
Sure, it is. Yeah.
Remember when I was there, I was very fully conscious, and it's that very odd sensation of time has no meaning. That it could have been an eternity, and it could have been 5 minutes. There was this never-ending idea of just how long we were there, and indeed I had no idea what had just happened.
In your case, that time stopping, obviously a very horrific experience, very surreal. It's one of those experiences, I'm going to sort of flip it and say a lot of people in life have that same sort of feeling, but even for happy moments. I mean, standing at an altar, getting married, for instance, and time seems to just freeze. In your case, that time was freezing for, terrible reasons, really. And a 60-minute freeze of time is a very long time. So I can't imagine, what that was like. Yeah. Gill, these days, do you feel, reflecting back, that maybe you've had that second chance and you're making the absolute most of that second chance opportunity?
Absolutely, Dave. I felt it, very strongly that I was given almost a new contract.
Nice way of putting it. Yeah.
And it was that thing where I thought, well, I can't read the small print. I don't know what I'm signing up to, but I absolutely instinctively knew that my life would be vastly different than what it was before, and that was even in the knowledge that I could feel that I'd lost both of my legs. So I was sort of trying to reconcile, what does this mean for me physically? What if I survive this? What happens? But instinctively, I knew also professionally my life would change. I used to work in design and architecture in the UK, and I could never, having been a workaholic, could never have even imagined that I wouldn't just pick up where I left off. But this idea of a contract, more than a vocation, something very, very strong telling me that if you're privileged enough to be back, then that time has to be used wisely whilst I'm here on earth, and I haven't ever let a day go by without ensuring that I'm ringing out every single minute.
And there must have been some amazing support around you emotionally to it sounds like you would have already had that headspace. It sounds like that you're the one who really engaged yourself in that sort of review of life, but there must have been some pretty amazing people around you to help support you on that, particularly initially.
Yeah, extraordinary. Do you know, when I woke up, my overwhelming feeling was, and I'm sure it's going to be strange for anyone to hear this, but my overwhelming feeling was that I had received the most incredible unconditional love. And that was through strangers. That was through every person that touched my body during my rescue. So I was effectively like a human baton, being passed from one person to the next, and each person giving their all. And I've met all of my rescuers. They're like, well, they're my family.
Oh, for sure, I could imagine.
Just there was one. There's many standouts, but there was one young police officer, and he was 24 at the time. And when we met, we of course hugged and we held hands. And he said to me, when I held your hand, and he never let go. So during the rescue, he reluctantly, gave my body over to the next person, and a medic or a paramedic. And he said to me, I was trying to give you some of my life. And I said to him, I felt that. I felt some connection. And to this day, I've never been able to find out just how can I put that into scientific terms. But I guess some things they just are. And it was the beauty of those exchanges, of me feeling the intention of everyone that touched my body, that when I woke up in a space that felt safe, that felt loved, even though I was unsure of what had happened and where I was. I woke up with a sense of calm and love, and that continued on. Every single person that was involved in my rehabilitation was just, extraordinary. And I kept thinking, Dave, maybe it's just me they're being so lovely to because of how I've arrived at the hospital and what's happened. And I remember that the day that it, I realised it wasn't just me, and this is how people were treating, all of their patients. It was that sort of sinking heart, but also a great moment for me of finding my role models of how to live a second life. I didn't have to look much further than who was being right in front of me every single day, with the medics, with the physios, with the whole team.
Now that's a lovely segue into one of the reasons why we were trying to chase you down a couple of years ago to speak as our keynote speaker at our conference, because we understood that massage was, a large part of your recovery, and has since been part of your, I guess, maintenance of self. So did you want to sort of tell the folks at home, because we really wanted you to come along to our keynote and speak as our keynote. So because of that fact, because massage did mean so much to you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I didn't understand massage before. I think I was in the train of thought that, or in the the camp that thought that massage is sort of the day spas, and you go and have a facial with that, and it's very indulgent.
Which it is as well.
Yeah, but I didn't realise that actually, for me, I would call it life-saving in many ways. And so I've taken away the whole idea of it being indulgent, and I now look at it as being part of my absolute essential, essential tools in which for me to even continue on and live effectively and the way I want to. So for me, it started in hospital, and of course my body was completely battered, scarred. And so early on, I had a very clear understanding that touch and massage and physiotherapy was a whole different idea to what I'd experienced beforehand. And what it started to give me in those very early days was, and I don't know if if you're, members and people listening have ever had these thoughts, but for me, it was I started to reconnect with my own body in a very different way. So the transfer of how I was being touched and how my body was responding to touch helped me appreciate myself in a whole different way. And I started,
because you were starting from a point of vulnerability, I guess, from a self point of view after being through such trauma as well.
And it was like learning about myself for the first time. I'd never had the time, or the need to be almost in the third person. So I was almost having these out of body experiences, just being in absolute awe of how the body responds to the right type of therapy. And that I found helped me grow in confidence, and how important having confidence was at a time when I faced monumental change, which was being told, okay, you're now going to be fitted with prosthetic legs, and I didn't even think it was possible to walk. I did, you wake up and you don't have legs. The last thing I thought was that I'd ever walk again. I just, had no picture or vision for it. So to be even taken down that pathway as an of course, really gave me a sense of, again, I just for those first months in my new life, I was, just in awe of what is possible and how the body responds when it's with people that know what they're doing. Extraordinary.
And I believe one of our members is one of your therapists anyway, and that's an ongoing thing for you. I think you mentioned, before our interview, that is it once a week?
I do.
You have massage.
I can get twice.
Remedial.
Remedial. But mandatory once a week, and that. So I now have. So I don't take. So I'm flitting around, but I get so excited about it. Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm just thinking about my appointment tomorrow. So I made a very early decision that I didn't want to take any medication to deal with the varying degrees of pain that I continuously have, and that was for a lot of reasons. Actually, I just felt that I was so in awe and just thrilled, Dave, that I still had my mind, that I was still Gill throughout everything, throughout the all the injuries, that I was still me, and I didn't want anything to cloud or tamper with my mind and thoughts. So I decided that I would look at how to manage pain without medication, and remedial massage was the top of the list for that. And so I have quite a lot of acute nerve pain. My nerves have kept growing, so they're then wrapping around themselves because there's not the length of the leg for the nerves to travel, and so then they contract, and I get quite a lot of really quite sharp, difficult pain. So that gets addressed every week. Then just for my body, because I'm not moving as much as I'd love to, it just to keep everything flowing and in order and in its own rhythm. I've found that it's been crucial. And then to top it all off, earlier this year, I went and had all my health checkups, as I always do, having all my scans, and my GP had the terrible job of having to report back to me. And she said, Gill, you're not going to believe this, but you've got severe arthritis all the way down from your sort of top of your neck all the way down your spine. And I just thought, oh no. So So again, thank goodness I already had this way of life where massage was crucial.
It's working on your soft tissue, which from anyone's sort of experience, it's such a profound thing to have that body work done too. Yeah.
And look, I have an active life. I have an 8-year-old daughter, so I can't afford to be, and I don't want to be, laid up. It's just not an option for me at all. The more active I can be, the better. And even though I haven't signed up to sporting activities just because I'm double amputee, I have been known to do some extreme things like abseiling. Early on after the bombings, I walked from Leeds, so the top of England, down to London. And
wow.
that took me a month on the road. And everyone just kept saying to me, you do know there's a good train service, don't you? Yeah, I know that. So look, I think what's important to me, my understanding now of my body, is that this is the most amazing vessel that I have that enables me to live and to have choices in how I live and what I do. And for me, it's just I want those choices to be vast and not be limited. And having therapy and massage has helped me keep that choice base quite broad and growing, and that makes all the difference to me.
All right.
But mentally as well, it's what happens physically affects.
It's a holistic,
mentally.
Absolutely. It's holistic in its nature. Yeah, absolutely. Look, Gill, we'll leave it there. But it's so nice to talk to you. It's so great to hear such a strong endorsement of remedial therapies that's helping you along the continuation of your journey. We could have spoken a lot more about other bits and pieces, but we've kind of run out of time. But it's been such a delight to speak to you. And in some ways, it'd be really nice to keep in touch. We might try and get you in for our keynote at some stage again down the track once we go face to face with our conferencing. Once again,
look, I'm your biggest fan, and it's just such an honor to do anything at all with you. So thank you. And as I said, I wouldn't be able to have the quality of life I have without having remedial help. And so it's changed everything for me.
All right. Well, thanks again, Gill, for having come on our little program here, and we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, beautiful.
For everyone at home, I hope you've enjoyed listening to Gill's story, and we'll touch base with Gill down the track and see where she's at. All right. Thanks again for listening in, everyone. Thanks again, Gill.
Thanks, Dave.